The Fisher-Price tape recorder. If you didn't have one of these things in the 80s, there's a strong chance one of your friends did. Of course I had one, and it was my first proper tape recorder. I'm pretty sure it's still in my parents' attic somewhere. I came across this one at a local charity shop recently, still in its box. And I couldn't just leave it there, could I? I mean, look at it. Aside from the front of the box, which does have some tears, it looks like it's never been used. A quick look around this machine and we can see there's not a scratch on it. We even get the manual included, which may come in handy for us later. Even the foam inside the battery cover is present and intact, which is a very rare thing indeed. And we can see on the bottom of the box that this machine was purchased from Toys R Us for a price of £24.99. Unfortunately, I've been told that this one isn't working, so we're going to have to open it up and have a look inside. I did notice right before opening it up that the case screws are already loose. Given how these things were built very well, that could indicate that somebody has already been in here to try and fix whatever is wrong. Never usually a good sign. Removing the 6 screws from the case, we can then lift the back cover off and get our first look at the inside. And straight away we can see our problem. The drive belt is missing. Surprisingly, it's nowhere to be found, which seems to indicate that somebody removed it and for whatever reason just never bothered to fix it. I did originally think that the mechanism was also jammed, but it turns out that this model has a lever in the bottom that detects the presence of a cassette tape, and without one in, the play button will not go down. It also uses this lever to detect the presence of a chrome or metal tape and won't allow the use of them. So while we're waiting for our belt replacement to arrive, let's give those buttons a quick clean. I ordered a generic pack of different sized belts as I wasn't sure which size I would need for this. They're not the best quality and are square rather than round edged, but they should certainly do the job here. The belt fitted then, and it's time for a quick test. Well, it's playing a bit slow, but it's working. I can forgive it though, as it's probably been sat in its box in an attic somewhere for the last 30 years. I did let it play through a whole tape, and it's definitely got marginally better. So now our tape recorder is happy again, it's time to make some improvements. A line output will definitely be useful. Conveniently, all of the wired connections to the amplifier board are along the top edge and labelled. This makes modifying the tape recorder very easy. All I've done here is added a 3.5mm jack socket to the speaker output. The Fisher-Price tape recorder only has a mono play tape head, so just tapping off of the mono speaker output should be all we need. Let's test it out quickly. Yep, that's working great for what we need. The sound of this tape recorder is actually fairly good. Time for one more quick modification. C-cell batteries are not cheap these days, and according to the manual of this tape recorder, it will operate anywhere from 4.5 to 7 volts. So let's add a USB connection for power. Looks like it's fine operating off of a small lithium cell. A nice solution. I decided, at least for now, that because this particular tape recorder is in such good condition, I didn't want to make any permanent changes to the casing. So what I ended up doing was just running the cables through a gap into the battery compartment. The positive lead from the USB power is soldered onto the positive side of the battery bay. This is because it runs to a contact switch before it hits the amplifier board, and that contact switch breaks connection once the stop button is pressed. All the rest of the leads run up to the amplifier board here, following the original cables. Handily, the bit of plastic inside the cover acts as a sort of cable clamp, so I added a bit of hot glue just to hold them in place. And the back cover presses down, stopping them from being pulled. The battery bay now acts as a handy cable storage compartment. A quick look in the manual then, and it says we can remove the cassette door to gain access to the tape heads and pinch roller. I had no idea you could do this, so it's great that we got the manual. So one swift pull and yep, our cassette door comes right off, allowing access to those tape heads and letting us give them a much deserved clean. And then it's just a case of snapping the cassette door back in place, which does take a bit of fiddling. There we go. So this Fisher-Price tape recorder is looking good and back working again. We've even done a couple of useful mods. And whilst primarily it was probably used for toddlers to listen to audiobooks and nursery rhymes, I wonder if there's some other purpose it's secretly been dying to fulfill for the last 30 years. Ah, those different tones of beige look so good together. Handily, our monitor has a USB port on the side, so we can use that for power. Then we just connect our newly installed line out to the audio input of the BBC computer. The moment of truth, will it work? I've got the volume set pretty low for this, and of course we can still hear the sounds coming out of the tape recorder. Such a nostalgic sound, and really nice to listen to for the 15 minutes it takes to load the game. Well, a few moments later and it's loading. Well, I'd consider that a successful test. This Fisher-Price tape recorder will make a great and useful addition to the retro collection. So after 30 years, the Fisher-Price tape recorder now has a new purpose in life: to load games onto retro machines.